One slice folds in your hand like a New York Times crossword. The other comes in a pan so thick, it needs a knife, a fork, and a solid 30-minute commitment. This isn't just about pizza. This is about identity. About two American cities that can't even agree on what pizza is. One says thin, wide, fast. The other says deep, saucy, slow. But only one can take the crown. This is American Food Wars, New York pizza versus Chicago deep dish. Who really wins? Pizza is the great American equalizer. You can find it everywhere, from dollar slice shops on the corner to Michelin-starred interpretations in culinary temples. It's lunch, dinner, a late-night snack. It's for birthday parties, breakups, and baseball games. It's the unofficial food of getting things done. But somehow, out of all the styles and toppings across America, two rose to God-tier status and started a rivalry that's lasted for decades. In the East, you have New York pizza, thin, wide, and designed to be folded and eaten on the go. In the Midwest, Chicago deep dish, a thick, saucy behemoth served in cast iron and eaten sitting down, with purpose. But how did two styles of pizza, born from the same Italian immigrant dreams, turn into a full-blown food feud? And who actually does it better? Let's slice it from the top. Welcome to True History in Minutes, where we uncover the fascinating stories behind the things you use every day. It all starts with immigration. In the early 1900s, waves of Italian immigrants arrived in America, many through the ports of New York and the railways of Chicago. They brought with them stories, traditions, and, of course, recipes. The very first pizzeria in the United States opened in 1905 in Manhattan's Little Italy, Lombardi's. It's still there today, a shrine to the pie that started it all. Their pizza was based on the Neapolitan style, thin crust, tomato, mozzarella. But something changed in the translation. The ovens were powered by coal, not wood. The cheese got drier, the crust got crisper, and the slices got bigger. New York pizza was born. Chicago, on the other hand, took a different path. In 1943, two entrepreneurs, Ike Sewell and Rick Ricardo, opened a restaurant called Pizzeria Uno. But this wasn't just another imitation of New York's thin crust. They did something bold, maybe even outrageous. They reversed the order. They pressed the dough into a deep pan, then layered on cheese first, followed by the toppings. And finally, they smothered it all in a thick blanket of crushed tomato sauce. It was rich, hearty. It was closer to a casserole than a flatbread. This wasn't an accident, it was a statement. And just like that, Chicago deep dish was born, not as a copy, but as a counterpunch. Two cities, two styles, and two very different definitions of what it means to make pizza. But the rivalry didn't start with a recipe. It started with pride. New Yorkers view their pizza as a way of life. It's what you grab at 2 a.m. It's what you eat on the subway. There's a specific way to hold it, to order it, to respect it. The thin crust folds like a letter. It's quick, no frills, no utensils. You get cheese or pepperoni, maybe sausage if you're feeling wild. Anything more? You're pushing it. In New York, pizza isn't fancy. It's foundational. You don't wait 40 minutes for a pie. You don't use a fork. You walk in, grab a slice, and walk out. Chicago? That's a whole different energy. Deep dish is theatrical. You sit down, you wait. The pie arrives in a bubbling cast iron pan, inches thick, with layers deep. You don't fold it, you serve it. The sauce is chunky, the crust is buttery. The cheese stretches for days. It's less about hunger and more about the occasion. It's a meal to be remembered. To New Yorkers, deep dish is blasphemy, a bread bowl with sauce. To Chicagoans, New York pizza is floppy napkin food. It's less about the food and more about the cities themselves. New York is fast, vertical, and never sleeps. Chicago is proud, grounded, and takes its time. Both cities believe they own the truth, and neither is backing down. Let's talk about the bite. New York pizza hits you with that first crackle of the crust, crisp at the edge, chewy in the center. The sauce is light, the cheese is salty, and when it's done right, the oil slides down your wrist like an old friend. It's all about balance, thin enough to eat fast, but sturdy enough to support real flavor. Now, Chicago, you start with the crust, thick, golden, almost like a biscuit. Then a layer of cheese so dense it could be its own meal. Then the toppings, then the sauce, rich, garlicky, tomato-forward. And then it bakes, and bakes, and bakes, until it becomes something bigger than a pizza. Some people say it's too heavy. Some say it's not pizza at all. But then they try it. And in that moment, with molten cheese clinging to the fork and sauce dripping down the side, they realize this isn't fast food. This is experience food. That said, can you eat deep dish every day? Probably not. New York pizza? Twice a day and you're still walking. One style is made for movement. The other is made for moments. But here's where it gets interesting. The lines are starting to blur. In Chicago, you can now find thin crust, tavern-style pizza that's become its own cult favorite. Cracker thin, cut into squares, and somehow even more addictive than deep dish itself. In New York, artisanal shops are pushing the envelope. Fermented doughs, wood-fired ovens, and even Detroit-style hybrids with those crispy cheese edges. The idea of what New York pizza means is evolving. Even more shocking? Some shops in Brooklyn are now offering deep dish. And not ironically. Meanwhile, in Chicago, there's a growing underground movement against deep dish. Locals love it, yes, but many argue it's not even what real Chicagoans eat on the regular. They're going thin, tavern-style, or Neapolitan. And what about the rest of America? Well, we've taken both styles and remixed them entirely. Detroit-style pizza is blowing up. St. Louis has its own take. California's putting arugula and goat cheese on everything. And the Midwest is quietly building the case for square-cut tavern pies. It turns out the real pizza war isn't between New York and Chicago anymore. It's between tradition and innovation, purity and play. But still, the original rivalry burns. So, who really wins? If you ask New York, they'll point to their dollar slices, their global influence, their sheer volume. They'll say, ours feeds the people. If you ask Chicago, they'll point to the uniqueness, the boldness, the sheer audacity of calling something that heavy pizza. They'll say, ours is an experience. But here's the truth. They both win. Because pizza isn't a fight, it's a language. And New York and Chicago, they're just two dialects of the same delicious story. New York gives you speed, Chicago gives you soul. One slice folds, one slice stands tall. And in the end, both styles deliver what really matters, joy, comfort, and flavor that brings people together. But now, it's your turn to decide. Are you Team New York, loyal to the fold, faithful to the thin crust dream? Or are you Team Chicago, deep, proud, and ready to wait for greatness? Drop your allegiance in the comments. Tell us where your favorite slice came from. And if you've never tried the other side, maybe it's time. Because in this war, the only losers are the ones not eating pizza. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next story. Until next time, keep your cheese melty, your crust crispy, and your opinions spicy.